Before you watch another minute, I want to ask you one question. Have you ever felt trapped, even though no one was holding you? You can walk wherever you want. You can change your job, leave a relationship, travel to another country, start a completely new life. And yet, something inside still refuses to feel free. Why? The Buddha gave an answer more than 2,500 years ago. He said the strongest prison is not built with walls. It is built with thoughts. Every fear you keep believing, every painful memory you keep carrying, every opinion you allow to define you becomes another invisible chain around your mind. The most frightening part is this: most people spend their entire lives trying to escape the outside world without ever realizing they are imprisoned by the world inside their own heads. Tonight, you are about to discover the 6 invisible chains that silently steal your peace, your confidence, and your happiness every single day. And if you truly understand what the Buddha was trying to teach, you may realize something that changes your life forever. The prison was never outside you. You built it inside your own mind. And that also means you have the power to walk out of it. The first chain was never around your body. Most people believe freedom comes from changing the outside world. They tell themselves, if I had more money, I would finally be happy. If people understood me, I would finally feel peaceful. If life became easier, I would finally feel free. If my problems disappeared, everything would be okay. At first, these thoughts seem completely normal. Almost everyone thinks this way. But there is a hidden danger inside them. Every time you say, I will be happy when, you give your happiness to something outside yourself. Without realizing it, you hand the key to your peace over to other people, to future events, and to situations you cannot fully control. And the moment your peace depends on something outside of you, you have already entered a prison, because the outside world never stops changing. People change, money comes and goes, relationships begin and end, health changes, success rises and falls. Nothing in life stays exactly the same. If your happiness depends on things that are always changing, then your happiness will always be changing too. This is why so many people spend their whole lives chasing freedom, yet never truly feel free. The Buddha saw this long ago. He noticed that people were trying to fix their suffering by changing the world around them. But he discovered something surprising. The real prison was never outside. It was inside the way people looked at life. So he asked a question that can completely change the way you live. What is truly making you suffer right now? Not yesterday, not next year, not 10 years from now. Right now, if you become completely still for just a few moments, you may notice something amazing. At this exact moment, you are probably safe. You are breathing. You are listening. Nothing terrible is happening right now. Yet your mind may still be creating fear. Why? Because suffering is often not created by the moment itself. It is created by the story your mind keeps telling about the moment. Someone doesn't reply to your message. The mind immediately whispers, "They don't care about me anymore." You make one small mistake. The mind quickly says, "I always ruin everything." Someone else succeeds. The mind quietly compares, "I will never be good enough." Notice what just happened. Life never said any of those things. Your mind did. Life simply showed you an event. A message was unanswered. A mistake happened. Someone achieved success. These were only events. But within seconds, the mind created a story. Then it repeated that story so many times that you started believing it was the truth. This is how invisible chains are made. Not with iron, not with locks, not with walls. They are built from the meanings your mind gives to every experience. Imagine wearing a pair of dark glasses every single day. After a while, everything begins to look darker. The sky seems darker. The trees seem darker. Even sunlight loses its brightness. After many years, You forget you are wearing the glasses. You begin believing that the whole world is dark. The mind works in exactly the same way. Every painful experience becomes another layer on the lens. Old disappointments, old heartbreaks, old failures, words spoken by people years ago, moments when you felt rejected, moments when you felt invisible. Little by little, these memories become the glasses through which you see your entire life. Soon you are no longer seeing reality. You are seeing your past. This is why two people can face the exact same situation but feel completely different emotions. One person loses a job and says, "This is a new beginning." Another loses the same job and believes, "My life is over." One person hears criticism and learns from it. Another hears the same words and feels completely broken. The event is the same. The prison is different. The Buddha never promised a life without pain. Pain is part of being human. People will disappoint you. Plans will fail. Loved ones will leave. Life will change. But suffering becomes much heavier when the mind keeps adding stories to every painful moment. One painful memory becomes, "My whole life is cursed." One failure becomes, "I will never succeed." One rejection becomes, "No one will ever love me." The event lasts for a moment. The story can last for years. That is why the Buddha encouraged people to observe the mind instead of automatically believing it. Most people spend their entire lives trying to control the world. They try to control people. They try to control every outcome. They try to control the future. But very few people stop long enough to watch the quiet voice inside their own minds. That voice decides whether every experience becomes wisdom or another prison wall. The moment you begin watching that voice, everything starts to change. You begin creating space between yourself and your thoughts. For the first time, you notice something incredible. There are actually two parts of you. There is the voice that keeps talking, and there is the quiet awareness listening to it. The voice says, "You are not enough." Awareness simply hears it. The voice says, "Everyone is judging you." Awareness quietly watches. The voice says, "You will never become happy." Awareness remains calm, and then one beautiful realization appears. If you can watch the voice, then you are not the voice. You are the one who is aware of it. That changes everything, because the prison only survives when you believe every thought is who you are. The moment you stop believing every thought, the walls begin to crack. The Buddha often compared thoughts to clouds moving across the sky. Some clouds are dark, some are bright, some bring storms, some disappear within minutes. But no cloud stays forever. The sky never chases them. The sky never fights them. It simply allows them to come and allows them to leave. Your awareness is like that sky. Thoughts come. Thoughts go, fear comes, fear goes, anger comes, anger goes. But awareness remains. The real problem is not that fearful thoughts appear. Every human mind creates them. The real problem begins when you believe every fearful thought without questioning it. That is the moment another invisible chain is wrapped around your heart. So today, do not fight your thoughts. Do not fear them. Do not run away from them. Simply watch them. Let them come. Let them pass. Because every thought is only a visitor. It can only become your prison if you invite it to stay forever. Your past is quietly becoming your prison. One of the greatest reasons people feel trapped is not because of what is happening today, it is because they are still living inside yesterday. The strange thing about the past is this: it no longer exists. You cannot touch it. You cannot change it. You cannot go back to it. And yet, millions of people carry it with them every single day. Not in their hands, but in their minds. A painful memory becomes something they replay over and over again. A betrayal that happened years ago still decides how much they trust people today. One failure from the past quietly convinces them never to try again. One heartbreak becomes the reason they close their heart to everyone who enters their life. Without realizing it, they stop living in the present. They begin living inside memories. The Buddha taught that attachment is one of the deepest causes of suffering. Most people think attachment only means becoming attached to people or possessions. But there is another kind of attachment that is even more dangerous. Attachment to the past. Many people are not holding on to a person anymore. They are holding on to a memory. They are not suffering because of what happened. They are suffering because they keep reliving what happened. Think about how often the mind returns to old pain. You could be enjoying a peaceful afternoon, and suddenly one memory appears. A conversation from years ago, someone's cruel words, a moment when you felt rejected, a mistake you wish you had never made. Within seconds, your body begins feeling emotions that belong to the past. Your heart beats faster. Your chest feels heavy. Your mood changes. Nothing around you has changed. Only one memory entered your mind. This is the incredible power of an uncontrolled mind. It can make yesterday feel more real than today. The Buddha encouraged people to notice this habit carefully, because every time you replay a painful memory without awareness, you strengthen it. Imagine walking through a forest. The first time you walk across the grass, there is almost no path. The second time, the grass bends a little more. The 100th time, a clear road appears. Your mind works in exactly the same way. Every thought you repeat becomes easier to think again. Every painful memory you revisit creates a stronger path inside your mind. Eventually, the mind begins returning there automatically, not because it wants to help you, but because repetition has made that path familiar. This is why some people cannot stop thinking about things that happened 10 or even 20 years ago. The mind simply follows the road it has traveled thousands of times before. Many people believe they are remembering the past. In reality, the past is remembering them. It keeps calling them back, again and again and again. The saddest part is that the past slowly begins stealing the future. Someone who was betrayed once begins expecting betrayal everywhere. Someone who failed once stops believing they can ever succeed. Someone who was abandoned starts pushing good people away before they can get hurt again. They believe they are protecting themselves, but they are actually allowing old pain to control new opportunities. The Buddha understood that life is always changing. Nothing remains the same forever. The seasons change, the weather changes, mountains slowly change, rivers never stop flowing, your body changes every single day, your thoughts change, your emotions change. Everything in existence is moving. Only the human mind desperately tries to freeze certain moments forever, especially painful ones. It keeps saying, what if I had done this differently? What if I had chosen another path? What if they had never left? What if I had one more chance? But these questions have no end. The mind can spend an entire lifetime searching for answers that no longer exist. And while it searches, life quietly passes by. The Buddha never asked people to erase their memories. He never said to pretend painful experiences never happened. Instead, he taught something far more powerful. Learn from the past, but do not live inside it. There is great wisdom hidden inside every painful experience. Every disappointment teaches something. Every mistake teaches something. Every loss teaches something. But once the lesson has been learned, the suffering no longer needs to stay. Imagine carrying a heavy stone on your back for many years. At first, you carry it because you have no choice. But one day, the road becomes safe. The danger is gone. Yet you continue carrying the stone simply because you have become used to its weight. Many people live exactly this way. Their pain is no longer protecting them. It is only exhausting them. They carry guilt that no longer serves them, anger that no longer changes anything, regret that cannot rewrite yesterday. Little by little, these invisible weights become their prison. The Buddha reminded us that every sunrise is completely new. The sun never asks yesterday for permission to rise again. The trees do not hold on to last season's leaves forever. When autumn arrives, they let go, not because letting go is easy, but because holding on would stop new life from growing. Your heart is no different. Sometimes the greatest act of wisdom is not finding something new, It is finally releasing what no longer belongs inside you. This does not mean forgetting. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. It means refusing to let yesterday decide who you become tomorrow. Because every day you wake up, life quietly offers you another beginning. But the mind often refuses to accept it. It keeps opening the same old chapter, reading the same painful page, and wondering why the story never changes. The Buddha invites you to close that chapter with compassion, not with hatred, not with regret, not with blame, simply with understanding. Because every chapter has already given you what it came to teach. Now it is time to keep walking. Remember this, the prison is not your past. The prison is believing you must keep living there. The moment you stop making yesterday your home, today finally becomes a place where peace can begin. Why you keep giving your power away. One of the biggest prisons the mind creates is one that almost nobody notices. It is the habit of giving your happiness to other people. Many people believe they are living their own lives, but if they look honestly, they are living through other people's opinions. They feel happy when someone praises them. They feel valuable when someone notices them. They feel confident when someone accepts them. But the moment someone criticizes them, ignores them, rejects them, or simply changes their attitude, their peace completely disappears. Think about that for a moment. How can one person's opinion have so much power over your entire day? How can one message, one comment, one cold look completely change the way you feel about yourself? The answer is simple. Without realizing it, you have handed them the key to your emotional prison. The Buddha taught that suffering begins whenever our peace depends on something that is always changing. And people are always changing. Someone who loves you today may misunderstand you tomorrow. Someone who praises you today may criticize you next week. Someone who promises to stay forever may one day walk away. This is not because people are evil. It is because everything in life changes. Nothing stays exactly the same. If your happiness depends on people remaining exactly the way you want them to be, you will spend your whole life feeling disappointed. Many people wake up every morning already searching for approval. They dress to impress others. They speak to avoid judgment. They stay silent because they are afraid someone might disagree. They hide their true personality because they fear rejection. Little by little, they stop becoming themselves. They become whatever they believe other people will accept. At first, it feels safe, but over time, it becomes exhausting. Imagine spending every day wearing a mask. At first, the mask feels light, but after many years, it becomes so heavy that you forget what your real face even looks like. This is exactly what happens when you live for other people's approval. You slowly lose yourself. The saddest part is this: even after changing yourself, trying harder, being kinder, giving more, sacrificing more, there will always be someone who misunderstands you, someone who dislikes you, someone who judges you without knowing your story. The Buddha understood something that many people never realize. You cannot control how other people see you. Every person looks at you through the lens of their own experiences. Someone carrying anger may see you as selfish. Someone carrying insecurity may become jealous of your success. Someone carrying fear may misunderstand your silence. Someone carrying pain may reject your kindness because they no longer trust anyone. Their reaction tells you more about their mind than about your worth. Yet many people spend years trying to change the opinions of people who have already decided not to understand them. They waste precious energy chasing acceptance. They become prisoners of approval. Imagine standing in front of 10 mirrors. Each mirror is different. One is clear, one is cracked, one is dirty. One changes your reflection completely. Would you believe every mirror tells the truth? Of course not. Then why believe every opinion someone has about you? People do not always see you as you truly are. They see you through the condition of their own minds. The Buddha encouraged people to know themselves deeply, because when you truly know yourself, praise no longer controls you, criticism no longer destroys you. Compliments become pleasant, but not necessary. Rejection becomes painful, but not life-defining. This is real freedom. Most people think confidence comes from hearing positive words. Real confidence comes from needing fewer of them. When your heart depends on constant approval, you become easy to control. Someone only has to ignore you, and your peace disappears. Someone only has to criticize you, and you begin questioning your value. Someone only has to leave, and your entire identity begins to fall apart. That is not freedom. That is emotional dependence. The Buddha gently reminded his followers that no one else can decide your worth. Your value was never created by applause, and it cannot be destroyed by rejection. The lotus flower does not stop blooming because someone fails to notice its beauty. The sun does not stop rising because clouds hide its light. The mountains do not become smaller because someone refuses to climb them. Nature never asks for permission to be itself. Yet human beings spend their whole lives asking strangers, "Am I enough? What do you think of me? Do I deserve love? Do I deserve respect?" The truth is, the moment you begin asking the world to tell you who you are, you stop listening to the quiet wisdom already living inside you. The Buddha taught that true peace is born from within. It is not something another person can give you, because anything another person gives, another person can take away. But the peace you discover inside yourself cannot be stolen. It cannot be bought. It cannot be taken by rejection. It cannot be destroyed by criticism. It becomes your safe place in every season of life. This does not mean you stop loving people. It does not mean you stop caring about relationships. It simply means your happiness is no longer held hostage by someone else's behavior. You can love without losing yourself. You can care without becoming dependent. You can give without expecting constant validation. That is the freedom the Buddha wanted people to discover. So ask yourself one honest question. How many people are quietly controlling your emotions today without even knowing it? How many times have you changed who you are just to be accepted? How many dreams have you hidden because you were afraid of someone's opinion? The prison becomes weaker the moment you see it, because every time you stop chasing approval, every time you choose honesty instead of pretending, every time you respect yourself instead of begging for validation, another invisible chain falls to the ground. And one day, you wake up and realize something beautiful. You no longer need the whole world to believe in you, because for the first time, you have finally learned to believe in yourself. The mind's biggest lie is keeping you trapped. There is one lie your mind has been telling you for years. It sounds so convincing, so familiar, so believable that you probably stopped questioning it a long time ago. The lie is simple. Every thought that appears in your mind must be true. This is one of the greatest prisons a human being can ever enter, because the moment you believe every thought, you stop seeing reality. You begin seeing only what your mind wants you to see. The Buddha understood this deeply. He knew the mind was an incredible servant. It could solve problems. It could create beautiful ideas. It could learn. It could imagine. But he also knew something equally important. An untrained mind could become its own worst enemy. Imagine sitting beside a river. Leaves are floating on the surface. One by one, they pass in front of you. Some are large, some are small, some move quickly, others move slowly. Would you jump into the river and chase every single leaf? Of course not. You simply watch them pass. Thoughts are exactly the same. They appear, they stay for a moment, then they disappear. The problem begins when you jump into the river and start chasing every thought that passes through your mind. One fearful thought appears. What if I fail? Instead of watching it pass, you begin building a whole future around it. Within minutes, you imagine losing everything, embarrassing yourself, disappointing everyone, giving up before you even begin. Nothing has. The prison grows every time you fear tomorrow. There is one place where the human mind loves to live. It is not here. It is not now. It is tomorrow. The strange thing is, tomorrow never actually arrives. When tomorrow comes, it simply becomes another today. Yet the mind keeps running ahead, again and again, creating problems that do not even exist. This is one of the greatest prisons the Buddha wanted people to see. Most people believe they are suffering because of life, but often they are suffering because of the future they have imagined. Think about how many times this has happened to you. You are lying in bed at night. The room is quiet. Nothing dangerous is happening. Your body is safe. Yet your heart begins beating faster. Why? Because the mind starts asking questions. What if everything goes wrong? What if I fail? What if they leave me? What if I never become successful? What if my future is full of pain? Notice something important. None of these things are happening. They are only possibilities. But the mind treats imagination as if it were reality. Within a few minutes, your body reacts to events that have never happened. Your breathing changes, your shoulders become tense, your chest feels heavy, sleep disappears, peace disappears, not because of reality, but because of a story about tomorrow. The Buddha understood this better than most people ever will. He saw that the mind is always searching for certainty. It wants guarantees. It wants complete control. It wants to know exactly what tomorrow will bring. But life has never made that promise. Life is always changing. Every sunrise brings something new. Some days bring joy. Some days bring challenges. Some days bring endings. Some days bring beautiful beginnings that you never expected. This uncertainty is not a mistake. It is part of life itself. The problem begins when the mind refuses to accept uncertainty. Instead of living today, it starts trying to solve tomorrow. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack. Now imagine filling that backpack with stones. One stone is called, "What if I lose my job?" Another stone is called, "What if they stop loving me?" Another stone says, "What if I never become enough?" Another whispers, "What if I disappoint everyone?" Soon the backpack becomes almost impossible to carry. But here is the surprising truth. None of those stones are real. They are only thoughts, yet they weigh down your heart every single day. Many people spend years preparing for disasters that never happen. They lose today's peace because they are trying to control tomorrow's uncertainty. The Buddha often reminded his followers that life can only be lived in one place, this moment, not yesterday, not next week, not 10 years from now, only here, only now. When your mind leaves the present, it also leaves your peace. Look carefully at nature. The birds do not spend the morning worrying about next month's storms. The flowers do not refuse to bloom because winter will eventually come. The trees do not stop growing because one day they will lose their leaves. Everything in nature gives itself completely to the present moment. That is why nature feels peaceful. Human beings, however, often miss the beauty that is right in front of them. A beautiful sunset appears, but the mind is thinking about tomorrow's meeting. A child laughs, but the mind is worrying about next year's problems. Someone you love is sitting beside you, but your thoughts are already somewhere else. Life keeps happening, but the mind is never there to experience it. This is one of the greatest tragedies of modern life. People spend so much time preparing to live that they forget to actually live. The Buddha did not teach people to ignore the future. Planning is wisdom. Preparing is wisdom. Working hard for tomorrow is wisdom. But worrying is not the same as preparing. Planning helps you act. Worry only steals your strength. Planning gives direction. Fear creates paralysis. Planning happens for a few moments. Worry continues for hours, sometimes for years. There is a beautiful difference between responsibility and fear. A wise person plants seeds for tomorrow, but they do not spend the whole night digging them up to check whether they are growing. They trust the process. Many people never learn this. They keep checking, keep worrying, keep imagining the worst, as if fear itself could somehow protect them. But fear has never changed tomorrow. It has only stolen today. Think about all the moments your mind has predicted disaster. How many of those fears actually became reality? Perhaps a few, but most never happened. Yet you suffered through every single one of them as though they were real. The Buddha wanted people to understand something deeply freeing. The future exists only as a thought. Reality exists only in this moment. Every peaceful breath you take, every smile you notice, every sound of the wind, every sunrise, every heartbeat exists only here. When you return to this moment, you return to life itself. The prison begins to disappear because the mind no longer has endless space to invent frightening stories. It becomes quiet, not because every problem has disappeared, but because you are no longer carrying problems that do not exist. Ask yourself one honest question. How much of your suffering today actually belongs to today, And how much belongs to a future that your mind keeps creating? That question alone can awaken a completely different way of living. Because the greatest freedom is not knowing what tomorrow will bring. The greatest freedom is knowing that whatever tomorrow brings, you do not have to suffer through it before it arrives. The Buddha invites you to put down the invisible weight you have been carrying for so long. Stop living inside imaginary tomorrows. Return to this breath. Return to this moment. Return to the only place where peace has ever existed. Because no prison is stronger than the one built from fear of the future, and no freedom is greater than the courage to fully live today. Freedom begins the moment you stop believing the prison. After everything we have explored together, a beautiful question remains. If the prison was created by the mind, then where is the key? Most people spend their entire lives searching for freedom in the outside world. They believe freedom will arrive when they finally earn enough money, when they meet the right person, when people stop judging them, when life becomes easier, when every problem finally disappears. But the Buddha pointed toward a completely different truth. He taught that real freedom does not begin when life changes. It begins when you change the way you see life. This is why two people can live in the same world, face the same challenges, experience the same difficulties, yet one remains peaceful while the other feels trapped. The difference is not the world. The difference is the mind. Imagine waking up every morning inside a room with all the windows covered. For years, you believe there is no sunlight outside. You believe darkness is all that exists. Then one day, someone quietly opens a single curtain. Nothing outside has changed. The sun was always there, only your view was blocked. The Buddha's teachings are like opening that curtain. They do not create peace. They reveal the peace that was hidden beneath fear, attachment, and endless thinking. For most of your life, you may have believed you were fighting against life. But in truth, you were often fighting against your own thoughts. You argued with reality. You resisted change. You wished yesterday had been different. You feared tomorrow before it arrived. You searched everywhere for peace, except within yourself. That is why the prison felt so real, because the walls were built one thought at a time. One fear, one attachment, one expectation, one painful story, one judgment, one belief that you were not enough. Year after year, those thoughts became bricks. The bricks became walls. The walls became a prison. Eventually, you forgot that you were the one who had been building it. This is what makes the prison so powerful. It feels permanent. It feels real. It feels impossible to escape. But every prison built by the mind has one weakness: awareness. The moment awareness enters, the walls begin to crack, not because the world suddenly becomes perfect, but because you stop believing everything your mind says. You begin noticing your thoughts instead of obeying them. You begin watching your fears instead of becoming them. You begin accepting change instead of fighting it. Little by little, the prison loses its power. Think about a bird that has lived inside a cage for many years. One day, someone opens the cage door, but the bird does not fly away. Not because it cannot, because it has forgotten that it can. Many people live exactly this way. The door has been open for a long time, but fear tells them to stay where they are. Old habits tell them to stay. Old beliefs tell them to stay. The voice inside keeps whispering, "You are not ready. You cannot change. This is just who you are." The Buddha gently smiles at these thoughts, because he knows they are only thoughts, not truth. You are not your fear. You are not your anxiety. You are not your past. You are not your failures. You are not the painful words someone spoke over your life. You are not the stories your mind repeats every morning. All of these things come and go, but something inside you has always remained the same. The quiet awareness that has been watching your entire life. The same awareness that watched you as a child. The same awareness that watched you through heartbreak, through success, through failure, through every season of your life. That awareness has never been broken. It has never been trapped. It has only been forgotten. The Buddha called people back to this awareness, because awareness is where freedom lives. Freedom is not the absence of problems. Even enlightened people experienced pain. They became sick. They grew old. They lost loved ones. They faced difficulties. But they no longer created unnecessary suffering by fighting reality. They accepted what they could not control. They acted wisely where they could, and then they let go. This is one of the greatest acts of courage a human being can learn, not controlling everything, but trusting life enough to stop resisting every moment. Imagine standing in a river. The harder you fight the current, the more exhausted you become. But the moment you stop struggling, you discover something surprising. The water was never your enemy. Life is the same. Much of our suffering comes from resisting what has already happened. We resist change. We resist endings. We resist uncertainty. We resist the simple truth that nothing stays the same forever. The Buddha reminds us that suffering ends where acceptance begins. Acceptance does not mean giving up. It means seeing reality clearly. It means saying, "This moment is here. What is the wisest response now?" Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin asking, "What is this moment trying to teach me?" That single change can transform an entire life, because every difficult moment carries wisdom. Every ending makes space for a beginning. Every loss teaches detachment. Every challenge strengthens awareness. Even pain can become a teacher if you stop running from it. As this journey comes to an end, remember one simple truth. You were never searching for freedom. You were searching for yourself, the peaceful part of you that existed before fear took over, before comparison stole your confidence, before attachment became your identity, before your mind convinced you that you were trapped. That peaceful self has never disappeared. It has been patiently waiting beneath every anxious thought, every painful memory, every fearful prediction, waiting for the day you finally become quiet enough to hear it again. So from this moment forward, watch your thoughts instead of becoming them. Learn from your past instead of living inside it. Love people without making them responsible for your happiness. Prepare for tomorrow without fearing it. Accept change instead of fighting it. And every single day, choose awareness over unconscious habit, because that is how invisible chains break. That is how prison walls disappear. And that is how ordinary people discover an extraordinary kind of freedom. The freedom the Buddha spoke about was never somewhere far away. It has always been closer than your next breath. It has always been waiting inside the quiet space between one thought and the next.